black people.
I go, what is with Bonnie? What's with Bonnie? And I said, Bonnie thinks he's black. That guy don't think he's black. I go, he thinks he's black. I told her the same thing.
This kid is.
He goes, why are they so close? See, during Black History Month, lo lleva al council. Y lo pone acá en el, remember? It's an accessory. When we do the MLK parade.
Just like when
They used to have those statues in plantations.
Yeah.
Bonnie would be like, hey, Nury, are you going to the MLK? Well, Herb invited me, I'll go. Okay, I'm bringing whatever the kid's name is. I'm like, it's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float. And then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has they're not doing, the kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. Parece changuito. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm over here trying to parent this kid. I'm like, you can't do that. I said no. And Mike is like, I'm like, you're not teaching your kid anything. It's me and Karen Bass on the floor trying to check this little kid.
Yes.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para acá.
It's a pinch.
Yeah.
But yes, he's the fourth black man.
That is the voice of LA Council member Nury Martinez laughing it up as she is quoted there. I understand that audio is hard to make out. The important point, though, is when she refers to the black child of another council member as that little monkey. And it's very, I think, understandable in 2022 to hear something like that come out and just think, man, our society, our political discourse just continues to devolve and there's never any consequences for anything. However, in this case, the consequences were almost immediate. Councilmember Martinez has resigned from the LA City Council following the scandal that broke this weekend. She put out a statement saying, I ask for forgiveness from my colleagues and from the residents of this city that I love so much. In the end, it is not my apologies that matter most. It will be the actions I take from this day forward. I hope that you will give me the opportunity to make amends. Therefore, effective immediately, I am resigning as president of the Los Angeles City Council. Dan, like I said a minute ago, like normally they just buckle down, they say, oh, I was joking or something else, or they muddy the waters a little bit and then they get past it. This was, not only did they actually resign, Nury Martinez, but almost immediately.
Yeah, and this was a really quick development. I mean, I was paying attention to Twitter as this was happening, and shout out to LA Times and Knock.LA for really getting the message out of these recordings and really having that reporting ready to go. Because, I mean, I don't know, especially John and I think we've had these conversations about how we on the West Coast kind of feel like chopped liver when it comes to political news. And so whenever we have a scandal happening in our neck of the woods, we're like, oh, interesting, we'll see how this happens. But yeah, it actually had a lot of attention on a national level, and people were really offended by not just the person who made these comments, but the other council people who were kind of like egging her on. I mean,
yeah,
the other like council person who was like sitting on this, like Mike Bonin and whoever, was talking about how, yeah, this is gonna be a wonderful way to expose our 2-year-old son to the wonderful world of racism. To have to explain once he comes to terms that, oh yeah, by the way, there was a sitting legislator or someone who's like paid for by the city of Los Angeles, or at least at one point, to say these things about you for literally no reason because you were a 2-year-old kid. I really feel bad for that kid. I really feel bad for that family. I'm not gonna give any credit for the reaction that she is having as a result by stepping down, because shouldn't have made those comments to begin with. Stepping down and like taking responsibility for your actions is the very least you could do at this point.
Exactly, yeah, and to be clear, while the Spanish terms, which translates roughly to that little monkey, is the worst thing that she said. She also says they're raising him like a little white kid. I was like, this kid needs a beat down. 2-year-old. Let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back. Like,
there's a lot to break down from that statement alone.
You gotta go. Like you gotta go. And like I get that some people will be like, well, we call kids monkeys and stuff. Well, you can't do that in this case, and I don't think that that's too much to ask. And even if you could have dodged that one, you probably shouldn't be like just jovially chatting with your friends about how you'd like to beat a little child that someone else's kid. I don't feel like this bar is particularly high, Dan. I feel like this is a very reasonable thing. And by the way, some people, I don't know, like they have this view of California as being a very progressive place. And in some ways it is more progressive, but LA, specifically the city, has a lot of history of racism. We still have the LAPD. There are reasons to be worried about powerful people harboring these sorts of thoughts. And so I'm glad that I'm glad that there was consequences for her. I would love to see what's gonna happen with the others on the call and everything, but anyway, interesting development, Dan. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.